Welcome back, everybody, to the TRU-U podcast. We're here for the 72nd time, and today we are blessed to have Miss Shannon Marcum on with us. Shannon is a soul-powered business coach, brand expert, and entrepreneur who made the leap from corporate life to a digital nomad 7 years ago after launching her first business. Her background includes high tech, fashion, retail, and product development, including roles at Intel, Nike, and Gap. She is a world traveler passionate about empowering others to step into their soul power and create the location independent lifestyles that they crave. Miss Shannon, welcome to the studio.
Hello, how are you today?
I am great. We're blessed to have you. Thank you for jumping on. You're all over the place. Where are you at right now?
At the moment, I'm in Bend, Oregon.
Okay. And is that where you're from originally,
Yeah,
or?
I am. I'm an Oregonian native for sure. Yeah, so my family's been in Oregon forever. As I bounce around, I've always got a solid home spot that never moves. So it's a great home base.
Good, good, cool. Yeah, it's beautiful up there too. That's
It
awesome.
is. Absolutely.
Um,
It's a good place to kind of rebalance and unwind and get back to nature, right?
yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and we had a chance before this to connect a bit briefly and just hear your story and I think it's fascinating. I love digital. I love nomads. I love people who are like free. One of my strong values is freedom. And today, with the digital accessibilities, what's available to us, there's so much value that can be created from anywhere. So I
Mhm.
love your story. And before we dive in, can you just tell us a bit about, the where that 7 year journey began, how you created this lifestyle, and we'll get to know you a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was a corporate queen before, really thrived in that environment between, Intel and Nike. And from that comes a lot of great things, best practices, processes, how to work collaboratively with people all over the world. So innately, you're learning how to work globally. So that really laid an amazing foundation for me. And out of that came an opportunity to work for a startup locally in Portland that I was really excited about. I was ready to get out of the kind of siloed corporate life and wear many hats. And within that space at the Climb, I really had the chance to work with the C-level executives and was entirely responsible for building out the business by myself. And this is where I started to take the best practices and start learning how to build a business from scratch. Areas of business that maybe I didn't know quite yet became things that I was thrown in head first and excited to tackle. And so that was kind of my first taste of moving from corporate to a startup. And there's just a whole vibe that comes with a startup that I think is fun and makes you feel valued. And through that process, I really learned that I really value the idea of having an idea and seeing it actualized, whether it's a physical product or a brand. And this is where, Mod House was born, was my love for wanting to partner with founders to tackle the challenges that come with launching a brand, having done many of those, and really helping them actualize their dreams. And in this case, it was really fashion in that space.
Hmm. Cool. Yeah, there's some just like the spirit and the energy that comes from that bold leap from corporate to your own creations. Like I love that aspect, and I my personal experiences with people that are in that world and that take those leaps, my experience with them is just such a well-rounded sort of like learning attitude, a bold, like, I am going to take my life and I'm going to do something with it. I'm going to serve. Like, it's really a beautiful, it's art, really, is my take on it, is it's
I like
art.
that. I like that. That's a great point of view. It is. And
Yeah.
I think, something we really connected on to was in that space became a really clear like time in my life where I started at kind of my my own spiritual journey above and beyond, the travel. So I had started traveling. I was traveling all over the world, even with Nike. That's really where it started. We needed to travel all over the world to meet with our factories and get inspiration. So we'd be in Paris and then Shanghai and New York City. And
Wow.
I learned really quickly that I have the travel bug. I'm an explorer
Yeah.
archetype just as a personality. I love to explore. I love WTF moments is what I call them, where you're just like, what am I seeing or smelling or tasting? And
Yeah.
I just gotta, that was kind of my first introduction to traveling the world. And it was for work to start with.
Yeah. How does being a nomad and being all over open up vision and open up the connection to your, whether it's your brand, your product, what you're creating? Like, how does that out there experience open up? Like, I imagine it opens up a lot for you.
It does. Yeah. The inspiration is endless. You might see a building shape that gives you an idea for a silhouette in fashion. You might see a color or a texture that you want to see transposed to a fabric, or you might see how a completely different culture tackles a problem and apply it to your business in a way that you wouldn't have before. So it really does expose you. And if you're somebody that is open-minded and open-minded and perspective from that, taking that perspective and you can apply it, then you really have the opportunity to grow and be more creative.
I love that. I love that. Even hearing you is inviting me to travel. That's part of my value is to travel and experience. And I'm like, oh wow, this is inspiring. Um, we talked beforehand, and a lot of our listeners are really entrepreneurial spirited, have similar values as you and I. May have a lot of interest in, how they can develop their own product, service, business, and get this, opportunity to be able to travel. I know you have a lot of experience, and we talked about like a practical way of inviting people into this beforehand, and I'd love to segue into that if you're open, and look at like some of those practical steps or those initiatives that you have, and see if there's any alignment for our audience. So um you mentioned building like a creative business that you love in 30 days, which sounds so radical to me.
Right.
I'd love to start there. Like, what would you speak to on that, and let's see where that takes us, so we can get into the steps if you'd like. But
Yeah.
yeah, share that with us.
Absolutely. I mean, one thing I love about creativity now and where we are in the world is typically when you're building a business, and all the businesses that I have built, I mean, it takes time and planning and months and sometimes years. But right now, with the way the world is with TikTok and content creation and Instagram, and really transitioning from just influencer marketing into brands wanting to have a genuine connection with their consumers and talk to them with other consumers that actually love the product, we're finding that user generated content, which is not new, it's been around, is really picking up steam and really getting a lot of momentum. And that's because there's millions of brands and everyone's fighting to get attention. And instead of taking the old way of spending tons of money on these amazing ads that are very aesthetic, they're learning that we want to connect with people that look like us or sound like us or live like us, and hear from them firsthand how they feel about the product. And what we're finding is that today it's about evoking a feeling or offering a transition or a transformation for customers, versus like, make it and they will come and this is a cool product. Or so in that space, this is the perfect environment for building a location independent business, something that you can do and work from anywhere, something that you can do from home, work on the road. If you want van life, just spend more time with your family, work from the soccer game, or even travel the world. And that's really where this building a day in 30 days comes. The creative world consists of you are your brand. So it's you doing things that you love and working with products and brands that you love. And it's a different business model that we can do a lot faster than we see in the traditional business models.
You got me interested. You got me very interested. Tell us, I guess, how would you speak to those that are like, okay, tell me more. What would that look like for me? How would
Yeah.
you? Yeah.
Absolutely. So I think there's 5 steps to really getting you there, and this is part of what we're doing and with some of the women I'm working with that are members in the UGC society. Granted, this is not a get rich quick. This isn't something where this is you're hustling for 30 days, but those are my people. I'm a hustler. The men, women, and others that want to hustle, like those are my people, and those are just those that even if you're working a 9 to 5 or you've got something else going on, like you're ready to put in the work to make it happen. And if you're willing to do that, we're going to do it in 30 days. And this is something that I was able to prove out as a concept, prior to teaching others. So ultimately, the first thing we want to do when we're working in a creative space, we want to make sure that we are in touch with products and services and brands that really embody who we are as a person, because this is what makes it so fulfilling. So the first thing we want to do is figure out what our niches are. So not a single niche, like what are the things that are going to really tie back to brands that are part of who I am as a person, my lifestyle, and the things that just feed my soul. So that's
Hmm.
kind of the first step. And this really ensures that
Hmm.
what we're doing from a creative perspective is aligning with the DNA of the brands that we're working with. So it helps create a really synergetic relationship between you as a creator and business owner and the brand, which is also a
Yeah.
business.
Um, that's exciting to me, and it makes so much sense. It's like, why do something if it's not aligned to who we are, or what we want to
Right.
create? Like what? Who are we? My question for you is there any tips or tricks to digging and determining what our niches are?
Yeah, absolutely. I think innately people want to say, like, I love health and wellness, which sounds like a niche. But if you think about digging into that, and it's kind of like, well, what about health and wellness? If you just stick with that, you're going to spend all your time vetting brands, and maybe a brand coming to see you or talk to you that you're not as well connected with. So if you think of it this way, maybe more like, I do mental health apps for health, and I do CBD wellness. So you can see that we're still in those industries and in that space, but now I've narrowed it down enough to where I'm going to be working with the right brands and I'm going to stand out for brands. So really we do kind of a process of talking through your passions beyond the things that you've done as a job. So for instance, maybe you've been in tech this whole time, but you love plants. You have a garden. And when you come home, that's your passion. So we're really pulling from who you are as a person. I ask my clients, like, talk me through your day. If you did everything in one day, what are the things you're doing? And we really pull things out of areas that they're maybe not thinking about that they find really important, whether it's yoga, meditation, plants. So there's a fun creative process that we do that's just talking authentically to each other
Mm,
about like what fuels our soul. And from
mm.
that, we find these fun, sometimes unexpected niches that we're like, that really is an important part of something that I do or who I am or something that I'm really passionate about.
I love that. And that what's coming up is like, oh, soul powered coaching. It makes sense now.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. I think it's we hear the word niche so much now, especially in social media, niche down, and people are getting overwhelmed and they're like, I don't need a niche and I am my niche. So
Mhm.
this is a little different in the sense that it's multiple niches. We try to find 5 to start with. For
Mm.
instance, for me, um I've got a dog, an 8-pound Pomeranian, and so, dog wellness is a big part of some of what I focus on. And I spend time with my dog regularly. So Bentley is a big part of my life. So she's included in my creativity. She also travels with me all over the world. So I'm able to niche out, kind of dog wellness and dog travel, which is
Mm.
a niche within, you think pet and then there's cats and
Mhm.
dogs. So it helps me make sure I'm working with the right brands and also just doing things that are aligned with my lifestyle and the things that I love.
I love that so much. It's like you're not even working. Like,
Right.
well, you are, but you aren't,
Right.
and so that's the energy that I pick up on.
Yeah.
Um, that's great. So people got their niche, right? Now we're
Yep. So
we're
we've
we're
got our
through
niche.
that.
We're
Got
feeling
our
good about
niche.
that.
Step one knocked out.
Step
Here we
one,
go.
done. We're feeling good about it. Yeah. So step two, we're building a business. And so much of what is left out with some of the programs or information out there is the business fundamentals. We have to set up a business operation. So first is, to LLC or not to LLC. It's something to think about based off of your state and where you're living, or if you've already got another LLC that you can DBA under. We want to figure out what makes sense for you. So we go through that and figure out the benefits and tax structures. The second part is really, accounting management. I always say, if you're not an expert in something, especially when it comes to finances, don't own it. Go ahead and let somebody else do that. There's a lot of great services out there, whether it's local or it's virtual assistants or it's an online service that can help manage your finances. And even if you're small, you don't want to mess this up. Once it gets to tax season, like, we just want to make sure those ducks are in a row right out
Mm,
the gate. So we're focused on that. The other is, I'm helping you build a location independent business. It's about time and freedom. And in order to empower you to do that, we have to make sure we have efficiencies again right out the gate. So schedule and time management. So we have tools and resources so that things are scheduled out or figured out for you. You've got applications like Calendly and other things where we're automating your business, right in the very beginning so that you're not having to manage a lot.
great. Yeah, that makes sense. It's like it seems as it occurs to me, it seems like a lot, which is great. That's because like that's where you also can come in, or the service can make sense because like, oh, in a quick, urgent period of time in 30 days, like there's a
Yeah.
lot of little checklists there. A lot of
Yeah,
things there.
absolutely. And frankly, the things we've talked about and what I'm about to go through now, we've done this in a week. So
Wow.
part of that is I've templatized things. I've got links, I've got workbooks, connections, networks. I really want to make it to where I'm handing you a golden platter and you pick off what you need for your business based off of how you want to set it up. I want to
Mhm.
make this as effortless and no stress as possible for people because I've already done the work for you. And that's why we're able to do all of this in such a short amount of
Right.
time.
I love that you get through that part right away. I mean, and that's really it's needed, but the I notice a lot of businesses in my experience, entrepreneurs put off some of these things. They may not address them to the depth or to like the accuracy that they're really needed,
Yeah.
which also can affect our mindset and how it occurs to us. It can throw our energy off. So that's
Mhm.
great. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very easy for these things to rob our energy, folks.
It is, and if we just do it right in the beginning, I mean, it also is empowering because you're like, "Wait, I'm building a legit business."
Mhm.
And I fundamentally understand the importance of, we're getting that business mindset going. So as part of that too, we're talking about any kind of in-home or mobile creative studio stuff. So now we're getting into the fun things where, if we're making investments, we've got just a couple pieces, so super affordable. And then we're going into our own brand DNA, and each person is an individual and different. So what's their logo, color palette, email signature, all those things that elevate them in the creative
Mm,
space and put them at that pro level right out the gate. But also we
mm.
get to have some creative fun together, get them in Canva, get them used to using that creative side of the brain and building the foundation in that space. So we've got kind of the business operations, which are needed, but we start that creative part of your brand and building that brand DNA right out the gate too.
And then we get right into the fun stuff. Yeah, and that's step 3, right? That's step 3?
That's still part of step two. So step two
Still part of step 2.
yeah,
Okay.
step two is, business operations, business structure, and brand identity.
Okay, the
So
brand identity is the fun stuff.
that's the fun stuff.
That
Yeah,
to me,
exactly. You
it
gotta
is.
balance it out. It's a
Yeah,
lot. And
yeah.
ultimately, straight out the gate too, and this is just all folded into our engagements and how we work. We're developing their mindset and our mindsets, right? So it's like that positive mindset, removing limiting beliefs, developing rituals, that success mindset, which you have to have. You've got to be obsessed, you've got to be focused. So just encouraging, empowering, inspiring, the group together, whether it's one-on-one or each other, we've got to start developing that really critical mindset that you need as a founder, and to be what I call a fearless founder, you've got to face it. So we do that right out the gate too. It's a lot. We've got a lot going on, but what I just talked you through and more, we've done in a week, and every member is on track for that.
I
So
love
it's a
it.
lot, but it's empowering, because there's nothing worse than feeling like, man, I didn't get enough done, and we're definitely cranking it out.
So it's really like carving out space to get very intentional or committed to
Yeah.
creating this and that, like, because this as it occurs to me, this is the period of time where you really are going to be, creating space, then focusing head down at this thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And part of, I've got a commitment, to the team, and they've got a commitment back to me. I'm here to set and clarify and maintain focus and motivate and provide the roadmap, but they've got to follow through and hold themselves accountable. And that's just all part of being a business owner.
Yeah.
It's just a mindset shift. And I know you get it, but just getting them in that mindset shift right out the gate, so we're practicing it, is going to help keep that momentum for them.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Do you have any fun stories or anything that stands out in an experience that you had with any particular clients, like in this phase or like the brand identity phase?
Let's think. So, I mean, I think one of the things that I'm noticing in this space that's maybe not a fun story, but really common, is that sometimes, well, a lot of us are serial entrepreneurs and we have other businesses. And I think it's easy to just think you have to put it all, like, I need to put all of that into this business. And to
Mhm.
your point, it's finding intentional space for you to expand creatively, in a business without bringing everything else into it, if that makes sense. So there's an opportunity to cross pollinate, but so often we think, oh, well, I'm an actress, I've got actresses and models in here. I've got folks that are influencers, coaches, spiritual wellness, and they think they've got to take everything here and put it into this. But what's cool about this is it's almost like an outlet, but a business on its own. And I think it's just a unique way of thinking where, hey, you can still own and manage and have these parts of you appear in these businesses, but this is kind of a more unique set from
Mm.
a creative perspective. And I think it's what I'm seeing is, and it's happened with everyone in the group, like they're trying to bring everything over, but what's happening innately from that is that they're really feeling more excited and empowered to have a focused kind of part of who they are as a person. It's like an extension of their soul food that they don't necessarily get in their other businesses. So kind of just a unique point of view that I've noticed over the last week is everyone trying to just bring everything over. But then when they find out they don't have to, it's a sense of relief. And it's like, wait, I can just let this be my soul powered part of who I am, but still build a
Mm.
business.
Mm. Beautiful. Beautiful. So we've created the brand identity,
Mhm.
the structure, the
Yeah.
operations. What's next?
So next we are going into really doing a detailed brand outreach strategy. So this is where, like, we're creating and executing our business strategy. In this case, it's connecting with brands. So we are talking about our storytelling. I use the story brand structure from Donald Miller. There's a book that you can get on Amazon, and it really it really resonated with me. It's like we've got a character, they've got a problem, they're meeting us as a guide, and we're
Mm.
taking them through a plan and a call to action. And I've really applied that to how I do my content creation. And it's a structure to pass on, so that no matter what you're creating for anything, you can use this structure. And if it's long content, you use all of it. If it's short content, you just take some pieces out. But it's a structure that takes the guesswork out of creating content, whether you're an expert influencer, which we have, or someone that's never done it before. So we go through that structure, and we're connecting with email strategies, working with special agencies, doing outreach with brands that we really love, and spending some time on Twitter. So really, it's brand outreach. So it's business to business, and really getting ourselves out there and starting to make those connections so we can start getting paid collaborations.
Cool. Cool. So there's a few different arms, it sounds like, they go into this.
Yes.
And I'm guessing that's tailored to what they're creating.
Right, absolutely. So we're having them make some sample videos, just getting comfortable. Again, even if they've been on camera, it's a different type of camera feel. We want it to feel super authentic and just have them be them. And really, it takes a little practice. I mean, even for me, I hadn't been on camera ever, and cringe. It was cringeworthy for me. And just getting comfortable with yourself and accepting that you don't need to edit everything out. Be you. That's what consumers are connecting with, and that's what brands want. So just getting and building that confidence, and then building that business to business, the B2B part, where you're actually starting to connect with brands and facilitate conversations about what you can do for them, which is the UG space is pretty amazing as far as the reach, the conversion, and how critical it is for consumer purchasing.
I love that. Can you speak to the being yourself and kind of like the part of the, getting out there, that like that, or what your experience of that was, or maybe people you've worked with, like what comes with that? Is because I know for me that was also a hurdle, and I'm still growing in that
Yeah.
space. Like, oh, I'm okay with being myself in a podcast, but am I okay with being myself in a setting of reels, recordings, different videos, and the life of Ethan? Like there's these different areas of stepping in, so can you speak to that quick?
Yeah, and that's so valid. I think part of it too is, it's creative, so it's subjective. And technically, you're putting yourself out there and saying, "Gosh, I hope they like it," and that's why having that perfect match is so important. But ultimately, my experience is something that's relatable for everyone. That comes into these groups. I had never been on camera, I'd never made a reel or a TikTok until just a few months ago. Not only did I not want to do it, I actually fell off of social media entirely for a year because I was so terrified of showing up, and
Oh,
hired a coach to really understand how to do it, and what I needed to do, and how it all worked, and just made the commitment that I'm going to do it. And jumping in at 150% all the way meant just being absolutely uncomfortable and working through having to listen to your voice, seeing yourself on camera. I mean, it's a process. You inherently want to judge yourself. And this is
yeah.
kind of a beautiful lesson in, you know, just loving yourself in a different way that you haven't had to do yet. It's one thing to look in the mirror and be like, okay, fine, we're fine. We look fine today. We're good. It's another thing to show up on camera and know, like, this is probably never going to not be off the internet. Like, this is forever. And just being okay
Yeah.
with you're you and what makes you you, and all the little quirks that you want to judge are what people love about you. And it just
Mm,
takes some time to sit in that, and realize, wait a minute, people are connecting with me because I actually am me. People like my little quirks, and it's okay. And I think our society hasn't given us um, the room to be accepted
humanize.
like that in a long time. So seeing that transition, especially on TikTok, Instagram is still filtery and refined, and TikTok is raw, and people don't want anything but raw on there, and it's kind of liberating, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I was wondering. I'm like, and I've noticed this in my podcast, but I'd imagine that in the content creation, like there is that sort of liberating feeling that
Yeah.
that comes with like, oh, I owned it, I did it,
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely. I mean,
doing
you're
it.
gonna you're gonna get faster and better at the technical part, but just showing up and being comfortable is something that's kind of good for your soul. And I really thought this would be a soul sucking industry, and I really fought it because of it. And what I'm learning is it can really transform and be, soul powering if you
Yeah,
look at it in the right light.
that's amazing. I love that. Great. So brand outreach. And you mentioned I was going to ask the Donald Miller book. What is that in
Yeah,
case people
yeah,
want to
it's
look?
called Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller.
Okay.
And you can pick it up anywhere. Just easy book to read. It just talks about, it's funny that we even have to talk about it because we all story tell in our own way. We just
Yeah.
don't think about breaking down how we're doing that, because that's just, it's human connection. And it's just something that resonated with me. And I thought, if I'm going to do something that has structure, I want it to be as authentic as possible, and I want to invoke transformation and feeling, and that's my end goal. And Donald
Mm,
really gets it.
mm. Beautiful, beautiful. We'll have to pick that up. All right, step 3, brand outreach strategy. You heard it from her. Now let's go into what is step 4? What comes
Well,
after brand outreach?
yeah, so step 4 was brand outreach, and
Oh,
step 5 is literally on repeat. Step 4, so plan, do, check, adjust. So step 5 is really reveling in the work that you're doing. So there's a lot of work up front, but once we get to the end, it's, engage with brands, create content, grow your business, engage with, so now we're in that fun circle of like, you're a full-time content creator. You've laid the groundwork in steps 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And step 5 is really just everything's on repeat. And you're really
mm,
starting to now, you've gotten a sense of it. You're starting to be able to have and take advantage of that, the lifestyle, the location independence. You're getting more time back with your family, or you're on the, van life on the road, or you're traveling with your pet, or you're just resting, whatever it is. You're starting to reap the benefits, and you're basically just, step 4 is on repeat, but now you're creating the lifestyle around the ease and efficiencies and business that you've built.
oh man, that's amazing. I'm curious, like the repeat word, like that. Then now comes in discipline. There comes in
Right.
some maybe organizational like
Hmm.
stickiness,
Yeah.
consistency. So tell me about like what supports people in the flow and the longevity of step 5, and is there breakthroughs that happen in step 5?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's plan, do, check, adjust in life, right? I mean, we're doing that regularly, and you're doing that with your business. Ultimately, it's the community. So, one, holding yourself accountable and plan, do, check, adjust, and keeping the mindset going is one part, but having the community, and that's what we're building within the UGC Society, and just inherently the types of networks that I find. We're here to empower and support. You're going to have a crappy day. You're going to have days that are hard. Maybe a brand or a business is really difficult to deal with. This is fundamental founder challenges, and they're not going away. So we want to build the confidence and the infrastructure and the mindset, but really community is what does it. It's being able to connect with others, like connecting with you and others around, sharing your story, empowering others, and getting excited about what you're working on really starts to feed your soul. And community is if not the biggest part of that.
Hmm. I love that. And you said plan, do, check, adjust.
Yeah, I mean, it's an old school thing, when we're especially when we're working in software, right? It's just like, okay, or just things in our life. It's like, plan to do this, implement it, check it, what's working, what's not working,
Mm,
adjust it, do it again. It's,
I
just
love
kind of
that.
foundational, but and old school, but it's evolution, it's growth is all that
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
Yeah,
old school, but it sounds like that's a forever thing.
right.
Like, it
Until
doesn't
you
matter
die.
how far technology advances, plan to do, check, adjust is a beautiful thing, and I think, like, what's coming up for me is like, wow, implement that, people. Like, put that in, like, even put that in a weekly, or I don't know if you do it even daily, weekly, monthly, what you do,
Yeah,
but, like, build that
daily.
in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, what's working, what's not working. It's old school retrospective, that can be applied to anything, including your life, and it's part of just evolving and growing as a human being.
I love it, Shannon. Well, beautiful. Thank you for laying out those lovely 5 steps, how to build a creative business you freaking love in 30 days. That is amazing. We are getting close to landing the plane. I'd love to hear like any last thoughts around this, or anything that you'd like to leave the folks with in regards to the 5 steps, in regards to like the creative minds that are listening to this. What's coming up for you? Anything you'd like to leave them with?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, it's going to go back to that community. Um, it's really important to continue to foster those partnerships that you have, whether it's people that you meet along the way or those that have made big impacts in your life. building that structure around you, your soul tribe, is really, going to get you through anything in your life, whether it's starting a new business like this, whether it's having personal challenges. And I just would encourage you, if there's through this platform, connect with each other, reach out to me anytime. If you're just having a bad day, you need someone to listen. If you want advice on anything, if you just, want to bounce something off, like, take advantage of that. Like myself, anyone out there, I mean, take advantage of just connecting with other human beings. Like, that is really what powers us, is each other, that connection. And it really can get you through anything. So I think just embracing that and taking advantage of it is really going to kind of keep that momentum in any space. And I'm here for anyone, if anyone needs anything in any way, shape, or form.
Lovely. Lovely. Well, I'm sure we'll be reaching out to you. What's next for Shannon? Where's Shannon going? Where's her digital nomad leading her?
I'm headed to Thailand, actually. I'll be working from Thailand in Chiang Mai I just have a one-way ticket for an unknown amount of time, partnering with some founders and entrepreneurs over there, as well as continuing to do a lot of work here around the UGC Society, and just feeding my soul with some time with amazing children, elephants, and seeing amazing things.
I love that. Thailand. That sounds amazing. That sounds amazing.
I'm excited.
Don't stop dreaming, folks. It is possible, especially in today's world where there's so much that we can take advantage of and create. It's a creator's world. It's beginning to lean in that direction more and more, where we can use what we have available. There's so many tools. There's so many things that we can do, and reach out to Shannon. She is amazing. My experience of you, Shannon, so far is that you're very competent, that you have a lot of believability, and that you really care. So I love that. Before we jump, tell where can people find you? How can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, great question. So Instagram and TikTok, it's under I Am SoulPowered. So super easy to find me there. Reach out anytime. And then for anything related to the UGC, the things we talked about today, we've got the 30-day checklist that we want to give you guys. Literally, if you're like, grab the bull by the horns kind of person, that's my exact checklist of what I did. If you don't need any help, you've got the blueprint and you're ready to go. If you want to maybe talk about joining the UGC Society or just learning more in that space, you can go to soulpoweredbrands.com and / the UGC Society, and just find out a little bit more. But easy just to connect on Instagram or on TikTok. Always here to support.
I love it. Thank you so much, Shannon. You're amazing. I hope the best for you in Thailand. I hope the best for you and wherever else you go, and whoever else you get to impact, they're going to be lucky. Not quite off the hook. Before we end it, we always end with a general message that you'd love to leave the TRU-U audience with. No pressure.
No pressure.
Whatever comes up for you.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I think it goes back to being soul powered. Do whatever fuels your soul, no matter what it is. Life is short. Whatever little thing it is, let that lead your path, and you will find a lot of value and happiness in your life.
Love it. Don't stop. Feel your soul. I love it. Thank you, Shannon. Thank you for joining us. Thank you
so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you, TRU-U audience, for listening in. Reach out to her if you need anything at all. And until next time, Shannon, we'll talk soon.
Thank you so much.